Globally, the COVID-19 pandemic continues to intensify, and now cases have now increased for the ninth consecutive week, and deaths have also increased for the sixth consecutive week. So just to put it in perspective, there were almost as many cases globally last week as in the first 5 months of the pandemic. And last week, there were 5.7 million cases and about more than 93,000 deaths, which were reported to WHO. We have crossed now 150 million cases of COVID-19 and 3.1 million deaths since the start of the pandemic. So globally, these are all worrying trends as we continue to see the impact of variants, which you must have heard around the world. Opening up of societies, because over a year-long lockdown and other restrictions, societies opened recently, and also inequitable vaccine rollout. So although significant progress has been made, there remains a shocking imbalance in the global distributions of vaccines throughout the world, especially in the Southeast Asia and developing world. Good question, because countries which have gained control and have shown some progress in controlling the pandemic have been those who have implemented diligently public health safety measures, which is basically widely accessible testing, case investigation, contact tracing, and making sure that people follow all the public health and social measures. Countries which have done well have based their policies and decision making on scientific evidence and robust data. The triage of choices that high income countries must make are very different from those that are low for a low income country. So those countries which have invested in making strong health system, building their health systems, healthcare and public health capacity were in a better position to deal with this type of crisis due to the COVID-19. Now, countries are increasingly recognizing that inadequate investment in health systems over decades is presenting itself in unfortunate ways during the COVID-19 emergency. So herein lies an opportunity also. While we battle against COVID-19, we need to start thinking very seriously on how to build robust health system and how to also strengthen our public health capacity to ensure that such kind of outbreaks, pandemics are tackled effectively in the coming years. So World Health Organization basically is a technical agency, a member state organization, and we make available to the Ministry of Health and Population in Nepal global evidence and advise on a variety of areas, subjects of related to COVID-19. So it is for the government to decide what to do with the evidence, which is we try to contextualize it for Nepal, advise that so that governments can apply that advice. So from the outset of the COVID-19 emergency, we have been providing advice, human resources, and material help to the government of Nepal. Because of our close relationship, we work shoulder to shoulder with the Ministry of Health and Population, are constantly sharing our know-how and advice. Also, it is essential that all institutions in the country, be they be governmental, private, or non-governmental, they need to pool and leverage their resources to fight against this COVID-19, a whole of society approach. So the hope should be of uniting in the fight against COVID-19 and basing decisions on scientific evidence. So the advice provided by WHO has made its way into many of the guidelines, guidance, standard operating procedures of the government. We have been sharing 24/7 with the government latest information and scientific evidence in the fight against COVID-19, because as the disease progresses and as you see new variants and you see new evidence coming up, we share that immediately, but also use our power and our credibility and our role to convince stakeholders to advance these discussions and actions. And our WHO staff is not only at the federal level, at the central level, they are also placed in provincial levels in providing critical support in these difficult times. So basically, all hands on deck approach has been here for the last 1 year and that's the mantra of WHO's work in the country. Okay, so we have several public health interventions such as case investigation, contact testing, contact tracing, testing, quarantine of those people who are exposed, and isolation of those who are infected and who are ill, wearing face masks, hand sanitization, physical distancing to prevent reduce spread of infection, and we have oxygen and dexamethasone to treat it. And also we have several safe and effective vaccines to prevent COVID-19. And our urgent task is to expand access to these to stop infections and save lives. And Nepal has used several of these strategies to combat COVID-19. So we have the tools to bring this pandemic under control in a matter of months if we apply them consistently and equitably. Vaccines are a vital and powerful tool, but they are not the only tool. Physical distancing, mask, hand hygiene, ventilation, surveillance, testing, contact tracing, isolation, quarantine, and compassionate care. They all work to stop infections and save lives. We should not forget that having good policies is only one part of the solution. The other part is to ensure there are energetic and thorough implementation of these policies. COVID-19, as I said, requires an all of government, whole of society approach, and that holds true for Nepal too. And we should all come together, all members of the society, community, press, journalists, to combat this pandemic of COVID-19. Yeah. So as has been said previously, in order to ensure that we stop the pandemic, we need to break the chain of transmission of the virus. And for that, we need to maintain new norms of public health behavior. So the path forward is not easy as we are operating in a globalized world with the global supply chains. There are many interdependencies. So while rates of infections are alarming, we should not forget the rate of recovery, which also gives us hope. Currently, it is about 83% in Nepal, and because of the recent surge in cases, the recovery rate is less, and there are more people who are currently active in terms of COVID-19 cases. So there is reason to be optimistic. There are more than 275 vaccine candidates in development, of which 91 are in clinical deployment, and also several of them have been cleared by WHO for emergency use listing and by other member states which have stringent regulatory authorities. So these many vaccine candidates, combined with a variety of vaccine platforms and technologies, both traditional such as inactivated whole virus or viral vectors and new ones, which are being used for the first time, such as mRNA and DNA vaccines, these increase our chances to find multiple safe and effective vaccines. You see, producing enough doses of vaccine depends on international cooperation. First of all, I would like to point out, never in the history of vaccine development, vaccines have been developed so fast for any disease. So if the world comes together through investment in research, manufacturing capacity, procurement, and investment in delivery, unprecedented speed can be achieved. Vaccines of COVID-19 is an example. Significant political and financial commitments are needed urgently from governments. So without them, COVAX, which is a facility created by WHO, Gavi, and CEPI to deliver vaccine to everyone everywhere, needed to end this pandemic, so requires huge investment from different governments to ensure that vaccines are available to countries like Nepal. So, but we need to remember that safe and effective vaccines alone cannot solve this problem. Rapid diagnostics such as, RT-PCR, antigen test, and life-saving therapeutics are also vital to end the pandemic and accelerate global recovery. So these life-saving tools will only be effective if they are available for all the most vulnerable, equitably, and simultaneously in all countries, and if strong health systems and services are in place to deliver them. And recently, the variants are concerning and demonstrate the importance of collective actions, because variants happen when the virus is allowed to spread. And if we cannot break the chain of transmission, the virus will mutate. So suppressing the virus through existing public health measures, as well as scaling up of vaccine manufacturing and rolling out the vaccine as quickly as possible will be critical. And WHO has been actively saying that we need to have more sites producing the vaccines, We need to address issues of intellectual property, give licenses for other companies to manufacture this vaccine so that they can produce it in a large scale. So as you can see, it is a coordinated action on strain surveillance, what kind of virus is there, sharing genetic data of the virus when it is available, building capacity in the countries which do not have gene sequencing capacity, collaboration among vaccine development, countries and whichever vaccines are being developed, research and vaccine manufacturers along with access to vaccines by all are essential for getting ahead of the virus. So it's a multitude of factors and it requires strong collaboration from all. Yeah, so one, as I said, is strict adherence to public health safety measures and quickly coupled with high and quick vaccine update. So I do understand there is a challenge of vaccines being coming into the country, but we have the tools within the country, which other countries have also shown that once you utilize these tools to make which is basically diligent case investigation, contact tracing, followed by isolation of those who are infected, who are sick, and quarantine of those contacts who have been exposed are the mantras for addressing this crisis. So by now, these measures are well known. Now, but people had in the last couple of months had some fatigue over the last 1 year about constant lockdown, having the stress of going through, and then there were a lot of relaxation. So, but we need to ensure now that people follow all of the public health measures, utilize the tools which are currently in hand. Vaccine will come. As more vaccine is produced by the countries, the key issue is how to ensure that these are consistently and quickly implemented. See, no nation in the world has been adequately prepared for this COVID-19 pandemic. You'll agree with that, as we saw the scenario in the entire world. So the impact on poor nations with underdeveloped health systems has been particularly strong. So the science on COVID-19 is also constantly evolving. So in this last 1 year, many efforts have been made to build capacity and to prepare forward. It is difficult in this short time to expect to make up for the decades of lost opportunities to invest in health systems. Now, more and more people are realizing, and I have seen Prime Minister saying that life comes first, health comes first. Okay. So we're pleased to see that many of the recommendations of WHO have been taken up by the government and are part of the various guidance and guideline documents. As the time is of essence, the consistent implementation of this is important, and that too at all levels of the government, at the community level, also empowering the community, engaging the community is important. So the complexity of COVID-19 warrants a unified response that cuts across all sectors and tiers of governments and society. So the importance of individual responsibility should not be underestimated either. So the bravery that this pandemic requires at this point of time is to follow all the public health and social measures. Wear a mask, wash your hands regularly, keep physical distance but socially close. Ensure that you are ventilated environment, avoid crowded places. These are the things which consistently need to be followed if we are able to control this pandemic going forward. I would like to remind all that we all need to step up and take our individual responsibility of keeping ourselves and others safe. I appeal to you to please follow the public health guidelines, wear masks, wash your hands frequently, maintain physical distance, and do not hesitate to get vaccinated as soon as they are made available.